Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name's Kendall and what we normally do here is sew-alongs that are hosted by Pat Sloan. At the moment, all sew-alongs are on hold until the new project starts in September. So today I thought I would show those of you that are Janiacs how I go about making my Dear Jane blocks, and in this video we explore block A11. Please enjoy! Okay folks, so I originally printed my foundation paper pieces from my EQ8 software, and I had it almost just the bits and pieces I was doing together, and I was laying it out and I'm like, this is never going to work. So what I actually have here is the foundation paper pieces from the website that Kay linked us to, so I'll put a link to that in the description below. This one will actually work, and as you can see over here, I've actually made up a few pieces and parts ahead of schedule because I'm not going to do these pieces. I did those as strip sets and cut them down, and I'm also actually not going to do this middle section, so that's what this square is, and it's just so that I can control where the seam allowances go, but you'll get an idea of how the foundation paper piece process works. Where you begin is cutting out. So we'll start with A. I'm actually just going to be doing A, B, and C, and the rest I have over here. And I rotary cut those pieces, made the strip sets, and then trimmed them to the required size. So there's A, which I'm cutting in half, and I'm going to just do the end bits, and that is my middle square. So with foundation paper piecing patterns, you can change them and do your own thing. It just takes a little bit of planning ahead and to sit down and really look at how it's going to go together, which is why I'm so annoyed that I didn't do that with the other one. And when I hit the point where I'm like, this is never going to go together, I was really quite annoyed with myself. Okay, so we're just going to do these 4 bits. These are the only pieces I'm going to be doing for this one. And with any type of foundation paper piecing, you're always working backwards, in that this is actually the back of the fabric. So A1 would be my main color, and what I'm actually going to do is crease these first on the lines, and that just helps when you come to the next steps. So what I've got here is my travel card for the trains. It's an expired one, don't worry. And I just keep that near my machine for when I am doing things like this. And it just helps me get a crisp edge there. You could have an add a quarter ruler or an add a quarter plus. I think the add a quarter plus has the card edge for the folding, but I make do with this. So as I said, you place your fabric right side down. And then some people put a dab of glue, and from that folding now you can see that working from the back, you can make sure that it's all covered. But I put the fabric face down. I place this piece there. I don't use the glue. I'll just place a pin. And then we're just going to be doing these 2 side bits. So I just place the pin to hold it. Fold this back. I don't have a 2 in this instance because I cut that off, so I'm going 1, 3, 4, and 5. So I'll fold this again, and then with a ruler and your blade, put the 1/4 inch line along the fold and trim that off to the 1/4 inch. You can do it after if you like, but I do it now just so that I can make sure that my pieces will fit. Now, because we want right sides together, the next piece we're attaching goes right side up. so that we can place this piece down on the top of it, lining up that 1/4 of an inch. And you'll see here, you won't be able to see it on the camera, but I can see that my piece of fabric underneath covers everything it needs to, which is just this little corner piece. So then we flip that back up and we'll take that over to the machine, and we are going to stitch right on the line. Now the setting for your sewing machine is to have a really short stitch length. So I've got mine at about a 1.7, and that just enables you to rip the paper a little bit easier. But as I said, I use that 50 GSM paper, which is quite thin. But the smaller the stitch length, the better, because then when you are ripping it, there's less chance of you also ripping your stitches out. So let's come to the machine and we'll sew that. So lining that up, I can just see my fold line to do the stitching. Actually, I don't need to, because I'm only going from this end. So I have this certain foot, it's got a black line down the middle of it, and I know if I follow that black line on my printed line there, that I'll have a perfect stitching. When you get to this top part, you don't want to encroach too much on that piece, so I just back tack a little and snip the thread. And as you can see there, that's actually just past that point there. Now you flip it over, and I finger press it. You can take it to the iron, or better still, if you have a seam roller. This is one that I bought, it's out of my toolbox. It's not actually, you can just roll that down and we can press it at the end, or because I have it just here, I can just give that a quick press. No steam, because that will affect the paper. Turn this over. We're now going to be doing number 4. So fold that back. Trim your 1/4 of an inch. And this next piece is also background fabric. And I know that because where the main color goes, it's actually printed darker on the paper. Trim your 1/4 inch. With foundation paper piecing, there is a lot of excess and a little bit of waste, but the precision that you get, and particularly when we're working with such small blocks, it's just, I think it's tolerable. Just pin that again, and now we're going to stitch in between this side. So back at the machine, I'm going to start at the tip this time, and I'll back stitch again. Okay, press that back. You can seam roll, or because I've got the iron just here, I'll do that. Now we're going to do this last piece at the top. So over here to my right, I've just got various scraps, and of course my pre-made little units there. Line this last one up. Just give it a quick pin just to hold it, and stitch. Okay, someone just came home and I had my door open, so they decided to talk to me. Now that we've got that done, all we need to do is trim a quarter away from the solid line. You do have your trim line there, but I like to just place the ruler on the inside solid line on the 1/4 inch mark. I don't use this rotary cutter, that is just for fabric. I have a separate paper one, which is my bigger one. The blade isn't any blunter, it's just one that I will change. I'll use it for fabric for a little while and I rotate. Now on this bottom piece, because I cut that in half, I'm just going to trim a quarter of an inch away from that solid line, and I can join that to the middle block. Okay, so that is the basics of foundation paper piecing. I will do another one, but I won't talk through it, and you can just watch that the same steps get repeated. Okay. So my two A sections are where I trimmed off that center block, so they're going to go with those, and then I will continue with these. Now, because I have some of the pieces pre-made, the next step in foundation paper piecing I don't actually follow, and even when I am following the pieces to the letter, so to say, before joining everything together, I trust my 1/4 inch on my machine. It has been measured to death. So I actually peel all the papers off and just sew with the 1/4 inch that I know. And because I have these pre-made pieces already, that is what I'm actually going to do today. But if you are not doing that, what you do is you would have your two pieces. So these two pieces don't actually go together, but I'm going to pretend they do. And you should be able to trust that that line's accurate, but you can check with a pin in the corner here that lines up with the corner on the other side, and it does. And then you would do the same as when we were sewing before and actually just stitch down that line. But as I said, I peel the papers off and do normal block construction from this point on. which, already done that one, which I will do in a minute. So I need to sew these two to this middle block in this fashion. Give that a proper press. Okay, so these units will get sewn together like a 4-patch. So I'll do that. Okay, we'll take the papers off these. And these get one of these either side. And this goes here, so we're going to press this towards that block. In this instance, it's our only choice. We could come into this one, but this just makes more sense. So these strip sets that I made for here, what I did, so we'll start this one here. I measured, I put the 1/4 of an inch for the seam allowance there and came down, and it was 1.5. So what I actually did was cut a 1 3/4 strip for this one, and the same in the white. And then the top one, was 1 1/4, so I had a 1 1/2 inch strip. I sewed those strip sets together and then trimmed to have the perfect distance, and then cut the segments, which were 1 1/2 and 1, and then sewed those together. Hopefully that made sense. Now finally we put the last of this block together, and the only place to match up is in the middle, and because we did the middle block separately, it will automatically nest. I'm happy with that. It looks a bit crooked there, but this one isn't quite finished because, as you'll notice, it is only 4 1/2 inches big, so we actually have to add 3/4 inch pieces to the outside as a border. Now I have cut these 1 inch wide, and that will allow me to trim it down. They're the big ones. Once I have these sewn on. Okay. So 2 sides and then the top and the bottom. And finally trim these 2 sides to that same 1/2 inch. And now is probably when I would hit it with a bit of steam and get the clapper on it. I don't have the steam iron here anymore, so we're just gently massaging the fibers where we want them to go. And A11 is done.